What's up, my peeps? It's the turtle smashing, dragon punching, titan smashing, zombie blasting, race car drifting, multiplayer butt whipping, the collector of coins, rings, looms, rupees, and tanukis. I got food for self, emeralds for wealth, and med packs for health. I got the double jumps, turbo boosts, time freezes, and invincibility. Leveled up all of my abilities. I run Vice City and made the Mushroom Kingdom better. And I am the first human Spectre. This is Mastermind, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Wii U's name. Recently, former Nintendo indie boss Dan Adelman, I believe his name is, was quoted as saying that the Wii U name was abysmal and that cut sales in half right there. Now here's my problem with that assessment, and this is why I think pretty much all the people in Nintendo, well, most of them who come out and say anything, are living in a bubble, including a former Nintendo person who's been known to criticize Nintendo and go on Twitter and make his comments, and they banned him, and I guess that was a problem, and that's why he's moved on. But I even think he's totally off and totally wrong on that. Let me explain to you why. First of all, the original Wii sold like a cajillion systems. I mean, it was quite successful considering all of its problems. And the Wii U, the title of the system isn't much different. They went from Wii to Wii U. Not that big of a difference. Now, I know a lot of people probably agree with him, but here's where I think Nintendo went wrong. See, back in the day, when the Nintendo 64 came out, Nintendo had decided that they were going to continue going with cartridge despite their competitors going with CD. That was a problem, and Nintendo didn't give a crap because guess what? They had Mario 64 and they also had Ocarina of Time, and nothing else really mattered. When you're Nintendo and you have the two best games on the planet, who cares what Sony and Sega were doing at the time? And Nintendo was able to get away with it. Now, if we fast forward to the GameCube, same thing with the internet usage and not having a DVD player compared to Sony and Microsoft. And that was fine for Nintendo because the system's power was right there with the other systems. So they were still getting quite a bit of third-party support. They also had great first-party support, as they always do. So even though the GameCube also had flaws, I thought it fared off a little bit better than Nintendo 64 because the Nintendo 64, just like the Wii and the Wii U, really suffer from not having much third-party support. And then by the time the GameCube came out, I started kind of noticing that they weren't so focused on having a really powerful system in comparison to a lot of their competitors. And I think this really started the trend because they were still continuing to see success without really having to invest in their hardware. You hear a lot of Nintendo supporters, they'll make the claim, well, it's all about the games. Unfortunately, I don't think Nintendo's philosophy really centers around that. Maybe it does in a sense where it's all about their first-party games. They probably figure that anybody who buys a Nintendo system doesn't buy a Nintendo system for anything else other than the Nintendo brand of games. That's kind of an arrogant way to look at things because now their games aren't as relevant as they used to be. I mean, they're still very relevant, don't get me wrong, and they're still fantastic. But there's a lot more to video games than Mario, Donkey Kong, and Zelda. We have tons of franchises now and tons of different types of games that Nintendo's kind of missing out on. Now, I know a lot of strong Nintendo supporters are going to come out and they're going to say, Mastermind, you don't know what you're talking about. The Wii didn't need any of that. Nintendo didn't have to have apps. Nintendo didn't have to have DVD players, Blu-ray players. Nintendo didn't have to be online gaming it up with everybody else. Nintendo Wii kicked the crap out of PlayStation and Xbox. So please just kill yourself and stop hating on Nintendo! But let me tell you something. With the Wii, Nintendo struck oil. They hit the lottery. Because let's be real, it became less about games and gaming experiences and more about the new audience that they had attained.
4 teams, all with one common goal.
We're going to bring home the gold medal.
We expect a big score.
Our little team is so determined to win.
We are going to
They don't have a chance. None of them don't.
Who will rise to the top? And who will get left in the dust?
So if we just look at the truth and realize what are the things that have made the Wii U unsuccessful, well, it's kind of the history, and there's a lot more of it than what I've even pointed out in this video. But if I had to sum it up, it's definitely not going to be the Wii U's name. I don't think that has anything to do with it. What it has everything to do with is Nintendo, their arrogance in believing that people only want to play Nintendo games and really overlooking third-party companies. They've been doing this now for a couple of years, and here's the example of why I believe they're doing it. If you look at their hardware, they don't make it any easier for third-party companies to even want to create games on their system. It's a huge risk. If you take, for instance, I'll give you an example. Destiny is going to be a huge and amazing game that's going to come out. Everybody is going to go pick it up. It's going to be huge for both the Xbox One and PS4. In fact, it's going to be huge on the 360 and the PS3, and that leads me to my point. If Nintendo Wii, the original Wii, was up to par with the PlayStation 3 and the 360, if it had HD graphics, for instance, then we would see a port of Destiny come to the Wii because their user base is huge. They have millions of people who have a Wii. Not all of them are still playing the Wii, but it's still a huge user base. They would have ported it to that system, but they can't. It wouldn't be worth it. The system couldn't handle it. So, of course, the blind, they're going to turn around and say, well, they can always port it to the Wii U. It'll definitely be better than the PS3 and 360 versions. But it won't be better than the PS4 and Xbox One versions. And it won't sell nowhere near as much. Let's face it, there aren't any old people buying the Wii U. So the success that they had with the Wii, that whole audience is gone. Nintendo has abandoned their gamers, and now they're trying to get them back with great software and great games that they are releasing on the Wii U, but it may be a little too late. I hope that they change a lot of their philosophies for their new system whenever that comes out, because I love Nintendo, and I wish that they would be at the top of their game. I think they really need to get rid of some of their corporate clowns that they have running it, especially this guy and the other guy in the trailer. They have, I believe, ruined a lot of what Nintendo could have been doing the last couple of years. Have they ruined Nintendo? No. Nintendo's huge, and Nintendo's going to always be around. But I think these last couple of systems have been a real disappointment. And because someone who's a Nintendo fan and love a lot of their franchises, I want to see Nintendo be successful. I want to see Nintendo right up there with Sony and Microsoft kicking their ass when they release their first-party games and they're competing on a third-party level. Hopefully that'll happen in the generation after this one, but right now, this is where we're at. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Mastermind out.
Blasting y'all, overcasting y'all, cloudy days making waves, mastermind.